All right, welcome back to another video. This is actually part 2 of my best of 2023. So if you haven't watched that yet, you should go watch that one first. 2023 was a great year for movies. There were a lot of movies I really enjoyed. Not all of them could make the cut for my first video, so that's why I'm making this one. If there are movies that you have seen in 2023 that you don't think are getting a lot of attention that you did really love, drop them down in the comments so other people can see them. And with that, let's get right into it. The Blackening, a great horror satire with a great cast and some fun twists and turns. Polite Society, a great underrated action comedy that has great story, great characters, and awesome action scenes. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. This was an all-around good time. I feel like the Ninja Turtles actually felt like teenagers in this one, mostly because they were actually played by teenagers and they were written like them, and the soundtrack is killer. Beau is Afraid. This is one of the more out there movies of the year, but I ultimately enjoyed it. Joaquin Phoenix is awesome in it. I love the production design, the visual effects, and the ending I'm still trying to figure out. The Boy and the Heron. Miyazaki honestly can't miss. This was a great movie. It just didn't make it into my top 10. The animation, of course, is beautiful, and the story is really out there, but I do think it has a very meaningful message towards the end. Evil Dead Rise. This feels like Evil Dead going back to its roots, where it takes place in a small contained space and you seeing the people, the different characters slowly becoming possessed one by one. The scares are great, the visual effects are great. Alyssa Sutherland gives an amazing performance as the mom who becomes possessed. I think it's very underrated. I know horror gets overlooked a lot when it comes to acting, but I thought she was amazing. It's definitely a movie I could see myself rewatching for a Halloween marathon in the future. 1001. I think this is definitely one of the most underrated movies of 2023. Tiana Taylor is amazing in this movie. Her performance is going very unnoticed in award season. She's getting some smaller awards, but she hasn't really been noticed by any of the Golden Globes. We're waiting to see the Oscar nominations, but I could probably guess she's not going to be there. This was a solid drama showing the life between this mother and son and the hardships they had to face together. There are also some interesting revelations along the way that I think really makes this a compelling movie. If you like dramas, I think this is definitely one to check out. Dream Scenario. Nicolas Cage is back with another out there movie. This was one of the most interesting concepts of the year. If you don't know, this is where Nicolas Cage's character is appearing in people's dreams. And as the movie goes on, these dreams escalate in ways that you don't quite expect. But it's also the message that was interesting because it sort of talks about fame and cancel culture. The idea that at one point he's famous and then certain things happen that are somewhat out of his control and then people turn on him. I thought the execution of that was done really well. And Nicolas Cage, of course, is absolutely going for it with this performance. He's peak Cage in this movie. It was so close to breaking into my top 10, but I just had to push it out because there were some other great movies from the year. Joyride. I actually missed this one in theaters. I had to rent it on Amazon Prime later in the year, but I actually had a really great time with it. This is one of the best comedy ensembles of the year for sure. I love the antics they get into, but I was also surprised with how emotional it is, especially towards the third act. The movie follows Ashley Park's character trying to find her mother. And through that journey, along with the other characters, it does become a very feel-good movie, but it does also go to some very real places. Asteroid City. Wes Anderson, for me, can be hit or miss. I won't necessarily call myself a fan. I do enjoy some of his movies more than others, but I did actually have a good time with Asteroid City. This one, I think, had a very interesting setup, where it's sort of a story happening within a story, where you're seeing these actors playing two different characters at the same time. I thought that was done really well. I like the inclusion of this alien. The effects on it were really goofy and fun. And it does have the general Wes Anderson vibe, and so if you're not into that, then you're probably not going to like this one, but I ended up having a good time with it. I liked the message of it. I liked seeing these characters interact. I liked the sci-fi elements. I thought it was a good time. When Evil Lurks. This was another solid horror movie from 2023. This one comes from Argentina, and this is definitely one of the most brutal horror movies of the year for sure. It's not a lot of jump scares, it's just a lot of gore and a creepy atmosphere. The premise is that these two men, these brothers, are trying to avoid this possession that's taking over this town, kind of spreading like a disease. You don't know who's necessarily going to have it at what time, but things just start popping off immediately, and it continues to escalate. This is one of the craziest movies of the year for sure. If you like horror, if you like gore, definitely check this one out. I think it's streaming on Shudder now, but you might also be able to rent it in other places. Again, it didn't crack my top 10, but I think it's still a really great movie to watch. Theater Camp. This was another one that I caught on streaming after its theatrical release, which unfortunately I think got overshadowed by Barbenheimer. But it's actually a really fun, wholesome movie. The idea is that this son has to take over his mother's theater camp when she falls ill, and he doesn't really know what he's doing, so it's up to the other camp counselors to try and help him run this camp. Some of them don't really know what they're doing either, so that's really fun. I love the cast. It's a great ensemble. The kids are hilarious too. If you're looking for a feel-good movie from 2023, I think this is the one. Killers of the Flower Moon. This is another one of those big movies from last year that didn't make it on my top 10, but I did really enjoy it. I would say I liked it, but I didn't love it. I think Lily Gladstone, of course, is amazing in the movie, and I think she deserves all the awards, accolades she's getting right now. I thought the direction was great. Martin Scorsese is great. I love the production design. The story is especially crazy since it's a true story, and I think they handled it really well. It's a really heartbreaking story seeing the Osage being murdered by people they thought they could trust. When it comes to 3-hour movies, though, I feel like this one felt a little more of its length than Oppenheimer did, for example. Oppenheimer, for me, kind of flew by for most of it, but this one I definitely started feeling the length a little bit towards the end, but I still ultimately had a good time. And I think it is now, as of me recording this video, streaming on Apple TV+. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. May, December. This movie I think is definitely not going to be for everyone. This movie takes on some very heavy subject matter, but I think the execution is unique because some parts are sort of, I won't say played for laugh, but are definitely more over the top. It is based on a true story, actually, about this woman that had a relationship with a 13-year-old, and then when she came out of jail, she then married him. So it's a very weird situation, but I was very invested in Natalie Portman's character, sort of investigating this family and learning more about them and how this all came to be. Charles Melton is amazing in the movie, and I'm starting to see a trend now where Riverdale actors are doing great work outside of Riverdale, because Camila Mendes also did great in Do Revenge a couple years back. So I'm very excited to see what these actors do now that Riverdale is over. But he's amazing, and I do hope he gets a lot more awards recognition. Again, this movie's not going to be for everyone, but if you are interested, it is streaming on Netflix right now. And last but certainly not least, American Fiction. This one I did not get to catch before 2023 ended. I did catch it in theaters earlier this year, and I was amazed by it. Jeffrey Wright gives one of the best performances I've seen ever from him, and I felt like his character had so much layers to him. He was funny, he was smart, he was witty. The whole story itself is very crazy. I mean, from the trailers, I knew it was going to be great, but the idea that this Black author plays into stereotypes and then it actually works and that people are really into it, especially white people, I thought that was hilarious. But what I did expect from this movie is the family aspect of it. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in Monk's life, and I thought that stuff was really compelling, seeing how he dealt with things with his siblings, his mother. That stuff was really great, his love life. I thought there was a lot of great commentary on how Black artists and writers, filmmakers, how they present themselves, what people expect from them, what does well business-wise, and whether it's selling out to play into certain stereotypes or whether it's being honest. There's a lot of great conversations there, and I definitely think it's worth checking out if you have not already. It is starting to expand into more theaters now, so if you haven't been able to see it yet, this is probably your chance now. So those are more movies I enjoyed from 2023. If there are some that I still didn't mention in this one that you want to shout out, again, put them down in the comments. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone that subscribed and made my last video blow up. I did not expect that, but it is a welcome surprise to start off the new year. Thank you so much. If you want to see another video from me, you can check out this one that YouTube is recommending to you right here. But if not, I will see you in the next one.